The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October the 22nd, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. Presented today by Caneswear, your ultimate authority for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. It's FSU week, and that means you got to load up on Canes gear. So you can go to Caneswear at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. You could shop them at caneswear.com. If you hurry up, they might be able to send your gear to your house in time for Saturday's game. If not, they're 15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium. You can pass by Caneswear anytime during the day. Kickoff's not till 7 o'clock. And get yourself some modern day Canes stuff to carry you through the end of the year. And the guys at Caneswear will be more than happy to take care of you. And we'll talk a little bit more about Caneswear later in the show. But first of all, this morning, I would like to thank Azubi Charles for so ably filling in for me yesterday morning and managing Matt Shodell. I was out jump-starting the Damian Martinez fan club yesterday and was a little preoccupied. And earlier today, I also created the Sam Brown fan club. And now I'm back for this morning. Good morning, CaneSport. And Matt, there's not a whole lot more to say than what you and Azubi said yesterday about the game. I thought that Miami showed a lot of resilience. They had a horrible special teams game. They did not have a good defensive day, yet they found a way to really seize control of the game. They only trailed for like 2 minutes and 10 seconds in an entire game on the road against a quality team, against probably the best offense they'll face this year. And just a classy way to go about it and overcome the bad things that took place in that game. And, I was looking at the YouTube comments yesterday, and I forget which poster came after me, but was taking shots at me that he was happy I wasn't on yesterday's show because I would have been gloating about Damian Martinez's performance. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, is this really a Canes fan? Come on, man. If I'm sitting here and I'm telling you guys for weeks, this kid is a very good player, and you guys are wrong for jumping on his butt and saying he should be benched and hang in there with him, and then he does perform, isn't that a positive? I thought it was great. I don't see how any Canes fan could think it wasn't. And also love to see Sam Brown get a little bit more engaged. He had 4 receivers, catch touchdown passes in that game. And you put it all together, it's exactly, what we've been saying here on the show, on our CaneSport.com website. Wanted to see more guys impacting the game on offense. But Matt, what we are not seeing right now is good defense. And that was a big theme of yesterday's get together with Mario and coordinator Lance Guidry. It was funny, the Shannon Dawson press conference went 20 minutes or close to it. The Lance Guidry, the Shannon Dawson press conference went 21 minutes. The Lance Guidry one went 8. So which coordinator do you think, Matt, had more good stuff to brag about? And there's a lot of work to do on defense.
Yeah, I predicted yesterday when I had a really good co-host that Lance Guidry would apologize and blame himself. But no, he didn't. He said there are no answers. And when somebody asked, is there anyone else you can use in the secondary? He said, we have what we have, which is what I said to you on the bye week. I said, they're not going to have this remarkable renaissance in the secondary because that's all they got. The guys that they have, they're not good enough. That's basically what Lance Guidry said without saying it. Just get used to it, basically. Now, the good news is Florida State has one of the worst offenses in the country. If this defense can't hold Florida State to I'll 21 points. I think the most points Florida State's scored all year against even some bad competition is 21 points. If they can't hold them under 21 points, that's an embarrassment for Miami. I mean, so as weird as it sounds, even though Miami's going to, in my opinion, obliterate Florida State, I think the 21-point line's a little fat. When I say obliterate, maybe 35-14, 31-7, something like that. Maybe the line's not that fat, with a little bit of math. But like Florida State's not a good team. And it cracks me up, the coach talk. You hear Mario Cristobal talk about Florida State, and it's like they're this amazing team that just had a couple of balls bounce the wrong way. Like, no, Florida State's not magically going to show up at Hard Rock Stadium and be a totally different team than we've already seen for the better part of half the season. Like, they can't do anything on offense. They have a decent front line on defense and nothing else. And like, that's a really bad matchup against Cam Ward, right? Now, the only reason why Miami maybe won't score a ton of points, and I said this to Gary yesterday, I can totally see a scenario just in this rivalry game, the Miami players are all hyped up, where Miami comes out a little more conservative, maybe, if Cam Ward lets them, than normal, because, there were a couple of games where Cam Ward was excited early, had a couple of early turnovers. And this is the kind of game where if Miami doesn't do anything stupid, they're going to win easily. If they take chances and just do dumb things and get too excited and have penalties, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties and this and that, and just don't play disciplined football because it's Florida State and they're so excited to crush Florida State, then they're going to have a close game. And that's why I think Miami comes out with I'm predicting conservative offensive game plan. I'm sorry, people. That's what I'm predicting. Okay, I know Mario. I know this type of game and how Mario views it. He's not going to let the players dictate that, hey, we're just going to throw the ball over the field from play one. Like, that's not going to happen. He's going to try to establish that we are a more dominant team than you up front. We want it more than you up front. We are going to crush you with the run game and then pass behind that, versus what they've been doing, which is really pass game first, run game second. And I did think it was interesting that Shannon Dawson said he doesn't want a balance. Now all of a sudden he doesn't want a balanced offense. He always said, I want a balanced offense. Now they finally have a balanced offense. He said, no. You don't understand what I mean by balanced offense. To me, a balanced offense is if they're letting us throw the ball, we'll throw the ball every down. If they're letting us run the ball, we'll run the ball every down. That's a balanced offense, which I'm pretty sure by definition is not a balanced offense. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So now we got two coordinators that are Looney Tunes. Lance Guidry tells us that Darryl Porter's playing solid football, that Jadaeus Richards is doing fine. Like, I don't know, what's it's like literally you see the moon in the sky and you say the moon's disappeared. I mean, we see it with our eyes, Mr. Guidry. We can see they're not covering guys. Literally, Pro Football Focus is showing us that Darryl Porter's given up 70-80% completions. He's getting terrible grades. Jadaeus Richards has been burned. Don't sit there and tell us how good they're doing. Like, Florida State knows they're not doing good. You're not tricking any other teteams telling the world how great these cornerbacks are. They know they're no good. Everybody knows they're no good.
Frustrated.
I don't understand what he's trying to do with that.
And I think that we saw that frustration shine through beneath that great smile that he has, and where he basically was saying that we are what we are, and it's what you see is probably what you're going to get the rest of the year. But I don't know that that's really the case. I mean, I honestly think that we're overreacting a little bit. I mean, in the Cal game, they did have mental busts, no arguing about it. In the Louisville game, they were physically getting beaten by a very good offensive team that has good receivers and good running backs. And Miami lacks speed, and that was exploited. But I don't know that anybody else they play is going to have the personnel that Louisville has, and is going to have the success that they had against Miami.
That's not what we're even talking about. Like, listen, here's Darryl Porter's numbers. Okay, these are the two guys that he pointed to that he said they're doing fine. Darryl Porter, if you look at the other teams who they've targeted the most, according to Pro Football Focus, Darryl Porter and Jadaeus Richards. Those are the two guys who have been targeted the most all season. Darryl Porter, opposing quarterbacks are 25 for 36, 70% completions for 308 yards. Okay, and he's also got some no interceptions. He also got some penalties. Jadaeus Richard, they're completing 20 of 33 against him for 271 yards. Okay, so 12 yards per completion, 13.5 yards per completion against those two guys. Jadace has given up 2 touchdowns. And my problem is, like, don't sit there when we're trying to get answers for fans, what's going wrong, and say, I don't know. He literally said, I don't know. And then, well, what's going on with the secondary? Is there anyone else who can help you? We are what we are. And, how's Jadace doing? Jadace is doing fine. He's doing well. Darryl Porter's playing solid football. Like, just don't sit there and tell fans that. Fans want an explanation. Like, just say, listen, we are what we are, and leave it at that. Don't start telling us guys are good when they clearly aren't, because now you've just thrown everything else out the window. Because what are we supposed to believe when you tell us the moon's not there? We can see the moon, Mr. Guidry.
I thought he was as honest as could be. I mean,
that's not honest. He's saying those two guys are doing well when it's obvious they're not.
I mean,
other teams are picking on them for a reason. He's not throwing at them because they're so good.
I mean, he's not looking to stand up there and demoralize his players who aren't playing well. I just think a lot of it's matchups, Matt, and I don't think that anybody's going to match up with Miami as well as Louisville did. And I don't think that struggles in the Cal game and the Louisville game mean that they necessarily have to struggle in these final 5 games of the regular season. I really don't. And
what he doesn't recognize is the anger of Miami fans at him, and his defense is palpable, and Miami fans want answers. Like, listen, we have a championship-level offense. What are you going to do so we can have a decent defense and win a national championship? And he just says, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. We're doing fine. That's not what people want to hear. He doesn't understand that there's a massively passionate fan base that wants him to do something different and is begging him to do something different, and he won't do it. We were looking at the blitz rates. He's doing the same blitz rates every game. Like, he's not changing anything. He had a bye week, knew the problem was there, and did nothing personnel-wise, did nothing in scheme-wise. And Louisville ate him up, and it sounds from yesterday like he's not going to do anything different the rest of the season. He doesn't understand. That's not what this Miami fan base wants. They will be calling for his head after the Georgia Tech game and after the Syracuse game. That's my prediction, because those are 2 good offenses. And Wake Forest, by the way, is not a bad offense. People are going to be calling for his head after this season, and he doesn't see it because they keep winning. That's his big thing. Well, we pulled it out. That's what he says. We pulled it out. We won. Like, no. They want more than winning. They don't want to give up 34, 38, and 45 points. That's not Miami Hurricanes football. And for them to not stand up there and take some ownership for it, and for them to say guys are playing well who clearly aren't, is a really bad sign of leadership and of holding players accountable, whether it's privately or publicly. He didn't have to say how well they're doing. He could have said, listen, we're all working on, we've seen it all before, the coach talk. We're working on making progress. He's working hard. We think there's some technical things, whatever, everybody has stuff to work on, right? So that's what you say. Like, it's not the end of the world, but he wouldn't say that. He said they're doing great. They're doing fine. They're doing good. No, they're not. Don't say that.
I was getting ready to pivot to the anger of the fans, so thank you for doing that for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm angry. I'm angry about this defense. I don't want to watch this defense like that. It's pathetic.
That's one of the things that has shocked the hell out of me here in the 48 hours, since I got back from Louisville. It was just how angry everybody is about the defense. And you look at the stuff being posted. I mean, there is venom behind their posts everywhere, directed at Lance Guidry. And
you know why? It's because he doesn't have the previous panache. He hasn't proven it at any major program ever, because prior to Miami, he was only the defensive coordinator at Western Kentucky, McNeese State, Southeastern Louisiana, and then Marshall. Like, that's it. So he hasn't built up that resume that, okay, he's done it at major places. It's the personnel.
I don't think
because the fans aren't sure.
I think you meant to say cachet, by the way.
That's what I said. I didn't say cash.
No, you said canache or something. You said something crazy.
Oh,
but go ahead.
Whatever.
I knew what you meant, but I wasn't sure everybody else would. So
he hasn't
I'd correct you.
Thank you. I'm sure fans would be so upset if you didn't correct me. What I'm trying to say, he doesn't have
Zuby to come back and do the show because I correct you, and Zuby doesn't.
Well, I'm going to shut up in a minute because I talked too much already. But he doesn't have a resume where fans can say, oh, well, he did it at Kentucky, or oh, well, he did it at LSU, oh, well, he did it at Alabama, whatever, anywhere, any major program. Like, he's only been at lower level programs, and he's had success there. I'm not disputing that at many of them. But now you come to a Miami program, and you wonder, like, last year it was okay on defense, right? It was not bad. It was actually pretty good at times. But you wonder now, like, that personnel's gone. Now it's a mess, and he doesn't have an answer. He doesn't seem to have an answer for it. And now you wonder, like, is he just a lower level coach who can't handle these better offensive coordinators who have now figured him out. It's like when you're a rookie hitter, right? Pitchers will throw pitches at you all day long. You have a great first year. You're hitting the ball like crazy. Then all of a sudden they realize, hey, you can't hit the low outside curveball. And now you're back in the minor leagues, right? Like last year, Lance Guidry was successful. Now it seems these teams have figured him out, and he hasn't adjusted to what they're doing to him. Because if he did adjust, we wouldn't keep seeing these crazy numbers go up week after week after week. Like 1 week is a one-off. 2 weeks is okay. Maybe it's just a weird thing. 3 weeks, that's a pattern. That's a pattern. It's a pattern of failure, and it can't continue. It can't continue if Miami's going to, escape into the playoffs and do well.
I don't think we have a verdict, and not even close to a verdict. I agree with what you're saying, that he still, as a coordinator, has to prove himself. No argument. He's never done anything.
Well, that's why fans are mad, because he hasn't done it anywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. He doesn't have the background where fans can be like, okay, maybe it's just the personnel. It's not his scheme because he's done it at all these great places. That's not really the case for him.
I don't think he has the personnel to do what he likes to do. And I think we're seeing that loud and clear. He's an aggressive coach. He likes to put blitz packages out there and bring guys from all different directions. We're not seeing a lot of that this year, probably because he doesn't have confidence in his coverage to hold up if he does do that. And maybe he doesn't even doesn't have the personnel for the blitzes themselves. I mean, Kiko Manoa has had some success blitzing in Guidry defenses, but I'm not sure Wesley Bassint has a whole hell of a lot. And I know we don't have a safety that excels at blitzes. So
here's the problem, right? Manoa's gotten worse in year 2 of Lance Guidry's system. Mish Powell was better at Washington than he is in Lance Guidry's system. Jaden Harris has not made progress in Lance Guidry's system. Wesley Bassint, I thought was doing really well, then he's had a couple of rough games. So I'm not ready to say that he's made these huge strides that I thought he was making. He's regressed in the last 2 games in Lance Guidry's system. Ruben Bain, Tyler Barron, those guys, Simeon Barrow are fantastic.
Tyler Barron's disappeared since.
But that's but those aren't system players. Those are guys where you line up against the offensive lineman and you just freaking beat the guy in front of you and get to the quarterback. The linebackers and DBs are in the system, right? They have to do all the complicated stuff. The lining up on the line, the backing off and covering as a linebacker, and da-da-da-da. Like, they're not performing in this system. And they're either not understanding it over and over and over again, which is a Lance Guidry failure of teaching, or they're not good enough, which is a Lance Guidry failure of recognizing it and fixing it in the portal or getting the recruits developed. Either way, it comes back to Lance Guidry, which is why fans, again, are mad at him.
I'm not looking at Lance Guidry as much as I'm looking at the players. I mean, I've seen great regression from Tyler Barron since the beginning of the season. He was pretty good in the Gator game. He was great against FAMU, if you want to count that. I don't even count that. And he's disappeared since then. You would barely know he's out there.
Even if that's true, which I would take issue with, even if that's true, you're blaming him instead of the system, the coordinator, and how they're using him?
I'm going to say there's all kinds of things going on here.
Guys should not regress under good coaching.
Ruben Bain is just working himself back from injury. He was better this week than he was at Cal. I expect him to be even better against Florida State. But he's been working his way back. The play defensive tackle has been inconsistent. I mean, Simeon Barrow's been pretty good.
Great.
I think Moten has been pretty good.
No. Sorry.
No, I had an NFL personnel person tell me this week that they think that Moten has been playing the best of Miami's defensive tackles. That's
just so you know, when your wife's sitting next to you watching a game and she says that she thinks he's so good, she's not an NFL personnel person. You can call her whatever you want. That's not her title.
I'm telling it straight. Like I have several people in the league that I talk to on a regular basis, and I ask these questions. Like they're ongoing evaluating these guys. So, but I don't think, like you said, the linebackers haven't played particularly well. Manoa's not playing as well this year as he did last year. We know the secondary is a problem. Where is the personnel that Lance Guidry is supposed to be utilizing his scheme concepts with? It's not there. It just, if we're honest, but I'm still baffled by it, Matt, because when I watched this defense before the season, there were days at practice where they did very well against what is now the number 1 offense in the country. So,
for Ahmed Moten to be so great, he's playing less reps than CJ Clark, who's not playing well, and he's got a 30.6 tackle grade, worst on the team. This is your NFL star, Ahmad Moten, right? I mean, I don't know who you're talking to.
I'm just telling you what I was told. I'm not I'm not confirming it or arguing it. I'm just saying this is what I was told. I didn't see it that way myself through my own eyes before I was told it.
I mean, he has 6 tackles on the year and 2 missed tackles on the year. I don't know what to tell you, but like whatever.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm not confirming it or disputing it. Like
you are confirming it by saying it.
To be clear, I did not have that personal opinion. Okay, it was not a personal opinion of mine. But what I do have a personal opinion on is I'm mystified by this recent struggles of the defense, because like Miami has the best offense in the country, and I have watched our defense against our offense going back to spring practice, and they were not embarrassing themselves out there. There were days of practice that they were the dominant unit. What the hell has happened to this defense?
Oh my God.
And
they
maybe
don't tackle in practice. Hello.
Yeah,
That's why.
Maybe maybe they need to tackle more. Or, maybe Lance Guidry does need to scheme things up better. But whatever it is,
they know what the other team's doing. Like when you go against the same guy over and over again, you know what he's doing. It's these other teams are doing different things than what Miami does on offense. It's not the same.
So he's looking for answers is the bottom line. And one answer that I think will make people happy, because a lot of fans have been calling for this, is increased reps for Zaquan Patterson. Like they've been bringing him along gingerly to this point of the season, giving him 10, 15 plays. I think he had 20 the other day. He's doing pretty well. And I think that there's a hope that maybe he increases reps to maybe 30 or 40 reps now, that he can impact the game more than he has. So I think you guys can look to see more of Zaquan Patterson beginning this weekend against Florida State, a team that Miami has a lot of respect for. If you talk to Mario Cristobal and the other coaches, Mario was very complimentary of Florida State and told us that he does expect to get the Seminoles' best shot. I have a hard time believing all that, because I've watched Florida State this year. Matt, I think they're terrible. And, you've already done some deep dives into Florida State. Have you seen anything to suggest that there's any other word to describe these Seminoles than terrible?
I mean, there's a lot of synonyms for terrible. I could rattle some off, but they're really, really, as Stephen would say, they're really, 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 really bad.
Really?
That's what happens when you're 1-6, right? And look, they did beat Cal. Like if you're Mario Cristobal and you want to say how great they are, then hammer to your players how they beat Cal, right? Because Miami probably should have lost to Cal and came back in remarkable fashion. But I mean, this FSU, if you just look at the national rankings, I didn't even realize there was 132 teams that get ranked in the rankings until I saw Florida State was 132nd in total offense. Okay. They're also somehow 132nd.
Are they really 132nd? Are you being serious?
Yeah,
they're last in the country. They're last in the country in offense.
Yeah. I mean, is there 132 teams? I don't know how many there are. Let me look. There's 133 teams. Houston is 2-5 and has scored 1 point less per game than Florida State. So thank God they're not last. Yeah, there's 133 teams. Who knew? I don't know. There's 132.
Well, I tweeted during the game the other night. I tweeted during the game the other night about I can't believe how bad Florida State is.
Well, I mean, the good news for Florida State is their rushing offense is 130th. So they're doing much better in rushing offense than total offense. Team passing efficiency, even better, 129th. So Miami better watch out for that. The rushing defense, 103rd. So really good at rushing defense. There's third down conversion percentage on offense. They're tied for 129th. So, pretty remarkably good there. Special teams, their punt returns 133rd. So they average minus 0.63 yards per punt return. They go backwards. That's hard to do. I mean, that's how good this team is. They've done something that's almost impossible to do. They have a negative punt return average more than halfway through the season. That's remarkable. Like, I've never seen that before. I honestly haven't. And I'm very excited to see the Florida State punt return game and their 132nd ranked offense and their 103rd ranked defenses and this and that. I mean, they are awful, awful, awful. They imploded big time. And one of the biggest things that happens just mentally when they were ranked in the top 15 by everybody before the season. And I remember I said before the season, they're not that good. But I certainly didn't think they were this bad. But when a team thinks they're that good, just in general, not even Florida State, when they think we're a top 15, top 20 team, they're all excited. We're going to go to the playoffs. We're going to win a national championship, whatever. We were undefeated last year. We got screwed, and we're going to show everybody. And then you suck, and you lose your first game to Georgia Tech overseas.
Very hard to recover from that.
And you have a 10-hour flight home where you're just miserable and probably fighting. Like, the amount of mental fortitude it would take for a team that wasn't even bonded in the first place because they're all transfers is so enormous that even Gary Ferman's large brain wouldn't be able to handle it. It's just impossible to deal with, because when you expect to be average or below average and you lose a game by a few points, you're like, okay, we got to get back to work. We got to fix this. You got to fix that. When you think you're the best team in the world and you just start losing and losing and losing,
hard to come back from.
That's a built-in culture problem, because the amount of mental just fatigue and wear and tear from the outside noise to the inside noise to friends, family, what the hell's happening with this team, and the constant I don't know what that is. Is that stabbing somebody or punching somebody? I don't know what that was. I'm sorry I did it. I regret it already. Whatever that was, though, that's what's going on to these people. Every single one of them. They're all being torn apart from each other, from the outside in, from the inside out. And this train wreck of a program with players who hate each other and probably hate their coaches at this point is coming for a big party at Hard Rock. I mean, this is like, it's essentially like back in the Roman days. It's like at the Colosseum, and they're like maybe a boar, and the Hurricanes are like 10 gladiators, all with shields and swords, and these boars are just running around the stadium, and we're just slaughtering them. Like, we're the gladiators and they're these poor defenseless animals. And I sort of feel bad for Florida State in this game. If I'm Florida State, I'm sort of hoping like the team plane breaks down or the bus breaks down. There's no other way to get down here. Or, the streets are they can't even get on the highway. I'm so sorry, Miami. We're going to have to reschedule it for next year. We tried to make it down there, and the bus broke, the plane broke. They closed 95 because of an oil spill we arranged right outside Tallahassee. We just can't get down there. Like, if I'm Florida State, that's what I'm doing, because I'm smart. But I have a feeling they're going to actually show up and just be in the Coliseum slaughterhouse for all of us to watch. It's going to be a joy.
Well, I agree.
For a Miami fan, it's going to be a joy to watch.
You're absolutely right that when a football team thinks they're going to be good and then they find out they're not good, it has long-lasting repercussions. I watched Miami go through that the year when we opened against LSU in Dallas, and they really felt like they were turning the corner, that they were going to be a good team, and they lost the game. And
devastating for teams that think they're good.
It was devastating in that locker room that night, and everybody was looking at Manny and like, Coach, I thought you said we were going to be good, like, and they weren't good, and I'm not sure that they ever recovered from that. I forget what the record was that year, but it wasn't good. And I mean, it's a big deal. But like you, I do expect Miami to win in convincing fashion on Sunday. But a couple other things that came up yesterday that I thought were interesting was Mario Cristobal told us that Damari Brown might make a return for the last few games of the regular season.
You believe that? You thought he was telling the truth?
I don't know that it'll really happen.
I have no idea when he's coming back. All I know is he's not coming back for a while, and maybe he'll play at the end of the year. My guess is maybe he can play in the playoffs or maybe something like that. But like, if they make the playoffs, that's my guess. Just knowing Mario, how Mario is, because he's always ahead of schedule with whatever he says. Like, this guy is going to come back. Elijah Arroyo's ready this week. He's been practicing. He's ready this week again. He's practicing. He's ready again this week. He's practicing. I mean, everybody's day-to-day, week-to-week. So when he says the guy's coming back for the last 2 games, he's not coming back for the last 2 games. That's the only thing I know for sure, is he will not be back for the last 2 games. I'm predicting that right now.
I don't know why you're talking about that like it's a given. I mean, I understand.
I will bet money that he doesn't come back the last 2 games. The playoffs,
I understand your
ACC title game, maybe.
Your skepticism about it, but
because Mario.
Yeah, but that is what he said.
I believe the quote started off something like, he made it sound like it was going to be sooner, like he's doing great, he might be back, he'll be back soon. Then he's like, well, maybe the last 2 games. Like, he just threw it out there after it was going to be. So now it's gone from soon to the last 2 games. That's like when your kid asks you, hey, can I get some ice cream? And you're like, yeah, let's go. You know what? Instead of going now, let's go next week. Let's go next week. And it never happens, right? You don't go for the ice cream. You're hoping the kid forgets, right? Mario knows we're not going to remember with 2 weeks, or he thinks we're not going to remember because we're not very bright as reporters, that we're not going to remember he said this. And so he's like, the last 2 weeks, they'll forget by then. He's like trying to think, when will reporters forget that I said he'll be back so they stop asking about him? That's basically what he's thinking in his head. I want to stop being asked about Damari. So let's just say, the last couple weeks of the season, maybe they'll stop asking about him. That's what goes through Mario's head. Because I can read his mind just by looking at his eyes.
The session we had with Shannon Dawson was considerably longer than the one we had with Lance Guidry. And this is because Shannon Dawson had so many great things to talk about. And I know a lot of you guys out there have been asking about the quarterback situation going into next season. So I said, you know what? Shannon's in a good mood. We're 7-0. Cam Ward's playing at a Heisman Trophy level. Great time to slide in the quarterback development question and see what's up. And I did. He didn't answer it.
No, he did a good job asking the question. I like that question.
Yeah, but he didn't answer it. And,
what do you think he was going to say?
Well, I don't know what he was going to say, but
right. It was a Hail Mary.
I personally think that the fact that he did not answer it means that there is not a firm conviction as we sit here today that the quarterback for 2025 is on the roster right now. I'm not convinced, because if it were, I think he would have answered my question differently. Now, maybe I'm wrong and I'm reading too much into it, but I now would not be shocked to see Miami perusing what's available out there in the portal because of the success of Cam Ward. And, Cam Ward is a living example of taking a kid from a struggling team who's a really good player and putting him on a better team and a good culture, and he just blossoming from it. And maybe there's other guys out there that could do the same. So I just didn't get the impression. I know they love Emory Williams. I know Reese has been doing okay in practice, and Judd is obviously in developmental mode, and Luke Nickel coming in is going to be a true freshman. It's not reality that he'll be the quarterback next year. But I did get the impression that they don't know that the starter's on the team for next year. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm qualifying it, but that was my take after hearing the response to my question on that subject. So anyway, a lot of different conversations with Lance Dawson about a lot of different things. He's very happy with the yards per play.
Who is Lance Dawson? Is that the illegitimate child of Lance Guidry and Shannon Dawson?
Oh man, I meant Shannon Dawson. Obviously, but he's very happy with the number of yards they're gaining per play. Which I don't have that number in front of me, but it was pretty good, Matt. Do you know what the number off the top of your head was?
Yards per play for Miami?
No, yards per play in the game the other day. I can look it up. I have.
Well, he was saying what was his three favorite stats, I thought, for the whole season.
Yeah, but it was really good in the game the other day. I'm going to have it here in a minute. But let's see. Total yards, average game per play the other day was 7.5. That is just flat excellent. So a lot of things for Miami to be happy about on offense, not so much on defense, but obviously these are things that we will be following as the week goes forward. All right, we got a few recruiting things that we'll talk about today. But first, we want.
By the way, can I tell you something real quick?
Yeah.
What do you think Miami's average yards per play is for the entire season?
6.9.
8.0. They were under their average, and they still did great.
Well, maybe
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? 8.0 on the season.
Maybe he was referring to the season stat. I don't know.
No, he was, but they did great in the Louisville game too. Yeah.
Yeah, but any way you want to look at it, and in your case, slice it up. Miami on offense is really, really elite this year, and defense is struggling a little bit right now. But I don't think that it means they have to continue to struggle the rest of the year because the personnel they will be facing in those games will be different. All right, let's hear from our friends at CaneSport.
Welcome to CaneSport. Welcome to CaneSport. New store, new items, same great experience.
Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
I like that spinning University of Miami logo. That would look good in your living room, Matt. We gotta maybe grab one of those for you.
I don't do Canes wear. I do Cane swear. Whenever they lose, I do Cane swear. So, I'm not familiar with Canes wear.
Cane swear. Did you see the video of Michael Irvin?
Which
the one that Michael Irvin made that he put out on his social media. My God, man, the playmaker is like uncaged. And we're going to have him on the Lamar Thomas show on Wednesday night. So I encourage everybody to check in for that show, 8:00 Wednesday night. But yeah, he is all in on this 2024 Miami Hurricane football team. I'll tell you that. He's getting a lot of airtime too. And I don't know if that's part of the plan or not, but he is getting a lot of airtime. But man, that was a profanity-laced diatribe that he put out after the game. I was like, wow. Playmaker back in 1980s form. But anyway, so at CaneSwear really has something for everybody. You're talking about t-shirts, polos, jerseys, hoodies, hats, flags, decals, magnets, anything you could possibly need as a Canes fan, they have at CaneSwear. It comes in all different sizes for men, women, kids, babies. And you know what? If you have a pet, they even have clothes for your pet. They'll dress your pet to run around the neighborhood and pound its own chest about how great the U is playing.
Yeah, can I make a suggestion? Do not get clothes for your pets. It's freaking weird. We don't live in New York City where it's like 30 degrees out and your hairless dog needs like a wool Miami jacket, okay? And the little things that go on their I want to say hoofs, but I guess they call them legs. I don't know, paws, whatever. Like, you don't need that stuff in Miami. Just get the regular clothes that Canes wear. Do not dress up your pets in like Miami gear. I'm sorry, Gary. I know I just cost your title sponsor $4.99 because they're not going to sell the little weird freaking wool paw, whatever they're called. But that's just my feeling. I think it's ridiculous. Don't dress up your pets.
All right. Well, anyway,
pets don't want to be dressed up.
CaneSwear is at 2655.
Are you going to delete that segment out because your CaneSwear people will be mad at me now?
No, they're not going to be mad at you. CaneSport is at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. They're not going to care whether you buy their $5 pet thing. They just have it in case somebody wants it. 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Or you could shop them 24 hours a day at caneswear.com. So check them out, maybe on the way to Hard Rock on Saturday, 15 miles north of Hard Rock, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, or caneswear.com for all the latest and greatest Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs that you might have.
I mean, if you're a dog, Gary, which we somewhat, mentally we're both dogs, right? Just ask Miami players. We're all dogs. But if you were a real dog, not a football dog, and it's 90 degrees out, and your owner puts you in a Miami sweater and marches you around where Cooper City, Miami, wherever you are, Coconut Grove, like, are you going to be a happy dog or a pissed off dog? Like, that's not cool. Do not do that. That's my advice. I'm pro dog, anti dog wear.
All right.
I made my
couple other interesting stories on the website today. Steve Wolfong from On3 gives us his take on several flip targets that the Miami Hurricanes might be trending towards landing that would help them get a top 5 recruiting class this year yet again. You could check that out on the website. The new On3 2026 rankings came out yesterday, and we update the Miami targets on that list and their movement in that rankings process. So make sure that you check that out. What else? We talked to local 4-star wide receiver Nick Lanier. He's going to be at the Florida State game, so you can get an update on him. We have an update on rising cornerback Amir Sears. He talks of his early interest in the Miami Hurricanes. Make sure you check that one out as well. Yesterday was basketball media day. We had a chance to talk to Dan Radakovich about a number of topics. I think you'll enjoy that story. Just get caught up on everything going on in the athletic department as they prepare themselves for revenue sharing that's coming on board, continued NIL. Matt, I know one thing coming out of that little time with Radakovich yesterday, the cost of doing business at Miami is going up, and he made it pretty clear that they will be meeting the challenges of whatever money is necessary to keep Miami competitive on the national stage.
Yeah, I look for us. For my concern when NIL first came out was it's a huge benefit for these massive public universities who can just raise massive amounts of money from their alumni constantly year after year, whereas Miami's a smaller private institution with much smarter people than like the University of Florida, or Florida State University, you know. But no, so what has transpired is Mario Cristobal has friends with a lot of money. Miami has connections with its own business partners that have a lot of money.
The president.
And that confluence,
the new president,
that confluence has really set Miami up really, really well financially. And the new president being basically a Miami booster in real life. I mean, when you remember they used to have fights, Tad Foote, right? Used to have fights with the football coaches, and like Jimmy Johnson hated the president. Like, there's never been a symbiosis like this between the head football coach and the president of the university. I mean, the president of the university is basically a fan of the Miami Hurricanes football team. You know,
he has a locker in the locker room. He changes outfits during the course of the game.
So, like, if it takes firing 50 professors to get the next Cam Ward on this football team, I think they'll fire the 50 professors. And you know what? Fans will be celebrating. Who needs professors? We got a championship football team.
He's got a pregame outfit that he changes into a game outfit in the locker room.
It's the greatest thing in the world for an athlete, because there's no other program in the country that has basically a booster as their president. Most of these presidents are academic types who are like real fundraisers and administrative types, right? You watch the post-game video, there ain't a president in the country who's getting, basically being mosh pitted after the game on top of players after Mario Cristobal calls him up in front of the team in the locker room. I mean, it was nuts. And it's like the greatest thing in the world because it's so Miami, right? What do they say? It only happens in Miami. I mean, it's like we're a bunch of football gangsters down here, and we're all sort of pushing in the same direction for once, instead of the president pulling one way and the athletic department pulling the other way and trying to balance the checkbook. There's no balance in the checkbook. The University of Miami has now become the United States of America, where if we go $2 trillion in debt, who cares if we're winning championships, people? Nobody cares about the debt anymore. Let's just win some championships. Let's go.
It was pretty obvious that they will find the money to do whatever they need to do. Miami is not going to have money problems in competing in intercollegiate athletics. Nope. And a lot of schools around the country, by the way, are adding mandatory student fees to help, subsidize the cost of athletics. Very interesting. The students contributing to an athletics activity fee that will go to fund revenue sharing. So all these are very interesting things going on in athletics, and we had a chance to talk to Radakovich about it yesterday. Make sure you check that story out. We also have a story on Jim Larinaga. Yesterday was basketball media day, and I had the chance to go out there and got to watch practice. And I really like the way this team is coming together from an offensive standpoint, not so much from a defensive standpoint. I think that they're going to have some issues defensively because of the way the size of their personnel. But make no mistake, this is a good shooting team that's going to be very exciting. Start getting yourself ready. I think we're only 2 weeks away from the start of basketball season as well.
By the way, before I get in trouble, I was just joking about him firing 50 professors to fund the football program. He would only need to fire like 5 or 10. Those professors make a lot of money.
Oh man.
I'm going to be banned from campus. I should not be doing this show, Gary. I say things without thinking. This is not the show for me.
Yeah, try being me, who has to go to campus, and every time I go, I get accosted about Matt Shodell. That's why I have my disguises over here. Anyway, if you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, we have put forth a flash sale for first-time subscribers here for this week, FSU week. You can get your first 7 days for $1, and then we'll also give you 50% off your first year. We really, really, really want the whole fan base coming together on our website. Join our community of fans. We got a great group of fans on the site. You will not be sorry. Plus, our entire staff works all week to make you guys the most knowledgeable Miami fans out there, and maximize your passion. And,
I read did you read the fine print on the deal? It says you get 50% off, which is amazing, but it says you only get to read half the content and see half the message board posts. Like, what is that? That's not right. That's not fair.
God. Oh my God!
Now can I not be in the show anymore?
Obviously, that is not true, ladies and gentlemen.
I've ruined your title sponsor. I've trashed the new president. I've ruined the promotion. Now can you put the guy everybody wants on the show back on the show? And I'm talking about, obviously, maybe one of the war chant guys or something like that. I'm talking about Azubi or Steven. You don't need me.
Well, I'm going to dismiss you for this morning because we are done. And we thank everybody for starting out your day with us this morning. And we will see you next time, everybody.